Hey people, this is Cinema. Please like and share and comment. Today we're going to go through a 2021 horror thriller movie called The Retaliators. The movie begins in New Jersey. Two ladies, Erica and her friend, are seen traveling in their van. They try to find their way by using the road map. As they go through the woods, one of the van's tires gets busted by a sharp object. Erica gets out of the van to fix the damaged tire while her friend sits down comfortably in the van. While doing so, an unseen figure suddenly drags Erica away. Her friend looks around and sees a deranged, animalistic and zombie-looking man staring at her. The man is about to go after her, but another man, John Bishop, appears from behind and cuts off the assailant's head. He opens a truck for Erica, but more of the assailants appeared from all directions. John gets dragged away while Erica gets torn to pieces inside the van. The scene then turns back and proceeds to show us the events that led up to the current day. John Bishop, a town's pastor, is seen staring at her daughter Sarah Bishop while she attends a grief counseling meeting. Sarah tells the group how she feels about the death of her mother, and each member of the group shows their support through words. After the meeting, John, Sarah, and John's youngest daughter Rebecca all visit a tree shop to buy a Christmas tree. Sarah tells her father that she would like to attend a party with her friends, but John politely refuses because he is a protective of his daughters. John leaves Sarah in charge of the tree and goes over to pick some more presents. He returns and sees Sarah arguing with the man over the Christmas tree. The man insists that he wants to take John's tree and almost escalates the issue, but John manages to avoid any form of trouble. Upon getting home, Sarah teases his father about letting someone else take the tree. Shortly afterward, John tells Sarah that she is free to attend the party with her friends, and Sarah shows her happiness by hugging her father. Later that night, John and his family go over to the evening service in the church, and John mentions the events of the day. During the sermon, he tells the congregation about not choosing violence elsewhere. A man, Erlo Garcia, enters a vacant warehouse and meets with a drug dealer, killer, and enforcer Ram Caddy. Erlo gives Ram some substances and expects cash in return. Ram tells Erlo to reach into his car's trunk and fetch the money himself. As he tries to do so, Ram attacks him and beats him up. He then zip ties his hands and throws him in the trunk. After service, Sarah clutches her father's car keys and tells him that she is on her way to the party. Sarah stops at a gas station to buy some gasoline for the car. Ram's also filling up the car's tank at the station. Just then Sarah hears struggles and screams coming from Ram's trunk. She panics and Ram notices her. Ram goes after her, but she pepper sprays his eyes and uses the opportunity to drive off. However, Ram enters his car and chases after Sarah. Sarah calls her father and tells him about the trouble she is in. While on the call with her father, Ram manages to overtake her, which causes her to crash. Ram gets out of the car and zip ties Sarah's hands to the steering wheel before pushing the car into the lake, thereby drowning Sarah. Shortly afterward, John arrives at the scene and shows his grievance by throwing himself to the floor. Up next, Detective Jack Sawyer pays a visit to the grieving John and his family. He just answers surrounding Sarah's death and promises to find out who committed the crime. Elsewhere, Ram calls his brother Vic to inform him that he has the money and substance. Ram then tells Vic where to find him the next day. That following day, Jack visits the gas station, requests the CCTV surveillance footage. He sits down for hours and goes through the footage. Later on, a police officer is seen stopping Ram for a traffic run. Before Ram could say anything, the unknown officer held him hostage. Shortly afterward, Vic notices that Ram has disappeared into thin air. The next scene shows John leaving home. He tells his sister-in-law that he's going out to look for the man that killed his daughter. His sister-in-law tries to convince him, but he refuses. After a long and tiring drive around the town, John gives up. Elsewhere, Vic visits the leader of their biker club. The leader berates him for putting Ram in charge of the exchange deal. He says Ram has severed any form of peace they have but with their rivals. He scolds Vic and asks him to find Ram immediately. The leader informs Vic that the rival gang always puts a tracker in their product. He tells Vic to get the tracker and start following Ram's trails before the rival gang is. Later on, Ramos and tied to a pole and being taught a very good lesson. Vic and his boys also storm their rival's base and make away with the tracking device. The next day, John runs into Jet in the cafe. Chat then tells same opportunity that he was presented with many years ago. A flashback scene then goes back to 10 years ago. Jet is seen with his wife, the captain of the police force, and another officer. While discussing, the captain tells Jet that the bad man Queen Brady that Jet worked hard to put in prison had been granted an early release. Chad feels disappointed by the decision, but knows he can't do anything about it. It's revealed that Quinn Brady is a psychopath who enjoys making out with women forcefully and then terminating them afterward. One morning, Judd says goodbye to his pregnant wife before leaving for work. Minutes after his departure, Quinn Brady visits his house and is his way with Jed's wife. Chad returns home to find out same opportunity that he was presented with many years ago. A flashback scene then goes back to 10 10 years ago, Jet is seen with his wife, the captain of the police force, and another officer. While discussing, the captain tells Jet that the bad man Queen Brady that Jet worked hard to put in prison had been granted an early release. Chad feels disappointed by the decision, but knows he can't do anything about it. It's revealed that Queen Brady is a psychopath who enjoys making out with women forcefully and then terminating them afterward. One morning, Judd says goodbye to his pregnant wife before leaving for work. Minutes after his departure, Quinn Brady visits his house and is his way with Jed's wife. Chad returns home to find out that his wife had been brutally terminated by Quinn Brady. Now in the present day, Jed tells John that Quinn was eventually apprehended, but not by the law. He informs John that he was able to heal from his wounds after accepting what happened. He even tells John that he has captured Sarah's killer, thus revealing that Jed was the one who kidnapped Ram. Chad drives John to a secluded cabin located in the woods. Jed takes John through a man-made tunnel. The duo gets to a room where John sees Ram tied to a pole. Jed then reveals that he was the one that apprehended Quinn Brady, and after inflicting much pain on Quinn, he was able to let go of his trauma. He tells John that the only way to heal is to inflict pain on Ram. He tells John to enjoy every moment of pain he causes Ram, because that is the only way he'll be satisfied. John picks up a screwdriver and goes after Ram, but he can't bring himself to hurt him. Chad gets angry and says he built the room because of people like him, and Johnny then informs John that there is no turning back. He tasers John and ties him to a chair. When John regains consciousness, he watches in horror as Jed unveils his collection of bad guys. Jed has numerous people caged to his underground chamber. Due to the level of pain Jed is inflicted on his prisoners, they have developed cannibalistic and animalistic traits. Jed is given the prisoners' numbers instead of calling them names. Quinn Brady is one of the prisoners, and Jed now calls him number 1. Soon afterward, Vic and his men arrive outside the cabin. Chad pushes Ram into the midst of the prisoners and they all attack him like wild animals. John uses his commotion to break free and
Hijack notices John's disappearance and believes that he has escaped. He starts running to the entrance, but soon comes across Vic and his boys. Meanwhile, John is given the prisoners the keys to the lockage. Vic arrives with Jet, but they are attacked and devoured by the now free prisoners. John manages to escape upstairs, but is chased down by Quinn Brady and the rest. Quinn Brady is about to terminate John when immortally wounded Jet arrives. Jet shoots Quinn Brady and the rest before falling to the floor and dying. John immediately arms himself with a machete and other weapons he can find. He takes Chat's bike and right out of the garage, but he is soon taken down by the prisoner. He fights them off and kills several of them. While fighting off the prisoner, John finds Erica's van, and this immediately ties to the imagery from the first scene. As John is being dragged away by one of the prisoners, he manages to pull himself together and terminate him after minutes of fighting
and surviving. John makes it to a quiet neighborhood. An elderly couple is seen preparing for Christmas in their home. A while later, John is seen attending and Rachel goes into his investigation. She finds his feelings would survive the attack from the prisoners trying to steal their car. She reaches in his side, but standing chases after her. Ram attacks to couple. John takes when arrives at and the fight breaks out. The swing gets back, but Ram is stronger than John and he keeps throwing him around the workshop. Just as Ram teases about to terminate proceeds, manages to defend his face, thus standing up for himself and his family. Uses it to stack Ram. John uses the opportunity to encourage him to defend the family in all situations. Thanks for watching.